Okay, welcome everyone to Beyond Borders Confidence Building for Non-Native English Professionals. This is a LinkedIn Live event that I somehow have not been able to configure correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and record. I did post the details of the Zoom link in my event page. So if you can find it there, please feel free to join. It's my first time doing a LinkedIn Live, so I apologize. But again, my name is Rico Lazo. I'm a communication and growth mindset coach. Let's go ahead and jump into the agenda so you know what I plan to cover in today's session. So the first thing we're going to look at is, why is communication so important? As a communication and growth mindset coach, this topic is very near and dear to me, of course, as I help my clients become more confident communicators. And so that's what we're going to be discussing as well, is how do we become confident communicators? I'll be sharing resources, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end of the session. So before we begin, I want to just share some information about me, and not just what's on the screen there. That's for you to know more about my background. But ultimately, I want to share some stories about where I've come from and how I've come to become a communication and growth mindset coach. So believe it or not, I am actually an introvert. So I am not someone who is the life of the party. I am much more an observer and listener than I am a gregarious speaker. However, that does not mean that I can't be effective in my communication. The first story I wanted to share is, when I was in second grade, I was so shy and quiet that I very rarely engaged with people, and I had a very difficult time in school. Knowing what I know now about myself, I would say that I was an extreme introvert. And in second grade, I remember one day we were playing bingo. And I remember, as I was playing bingo, I was close to getting bingo and winning. Now, most kids are going to want to shoot up their hand, yell out, bingo, bingo, I have bingo, in order to get the prize. But I remember clearly thinking to myself, I hope I don't get bingo. Listen to that. I hope I don't get bingo. Why did I not want to have bingo? Well, it was simple. It wasn't that I didn't want a prize. I don't remember what it was, if it was a toy or a piece of candy. I didn't want bingo because I didn't want to have unnecessary attention drawn upon me. I was that terrified of people looking at me that I just did not want to win. Luckily for me, I had a classmate next to me say, Miss, Rico has bingo. When she looked at me, she said, Rico, do you have bingo? And all I could muster was a head nod. That is how shy I was. That's how much of an extreme introvert I was. Well, fast forward, once I started my professional career after college, I was living in New York City. I was working for an educational nonprofit, and my job was to recruit and train and place volunteers in public schools in Queens, New York. One of the strategies that I was recommended to use was to go to the Parent-Teacher Association meetings to recruit parent volunteers, and that's what I did. And the biggest PTA meetings of the year are typically at open houses, where all parents are invited into the meetings. Now, mind you, I'm from Pueblo, Colorado, a city of 100,000 people. And in my schools, there were maybe 50 parents that attended these events. So I had no idea what I was getting into when I went to this open house at Dutch Kills Elementary School in Long Island City, Queens. When I got to the school, I had to check in with the school safety officer. And when I asked, where is the open house being held, I was surprised when he said, oh, it's in the auditorium. It's a packed house. There's standing room only. I didn't even have a chance to react, truly. I just knew I had bitten off more than I could chew. I remember getting nervous. I felt the sense of a cotton mouth taking over. My heart rate increased, and I was just terrified of what I was getting myself into. As I made my way to the auditorium, I was ushered in by the parent coordinator, who said, "Mr. Lazo, we saved you a seat right up front." And as she handed me the agenda, I looked at it and I saw that I was dead last. I had actually asked to be placed at the top of the agenda because I thought I would be in and out. Boy, was I wrong. So as I slumped down into my chair, I knew I was in for a long presentation. The principal got up and made her opening remarks, talked about the vision of the year, her goals, and other topics. She then passed the mic to the vice principal, who went on to testify and give her testimonial about what she thought about the school and what her vision was as well. From there was a second grade class that did a song and dance number. I never would have been caught dead on stage as a second grader, but this was Queens, New York. It was the most diverse setting you could imagine, kids from all corners of the globe dancing and singing. It was a beautiful number. After that point, there was literally a magician on stage doing magic tricks, pulling rabbits out of his hat, doing other card tricks and the like. I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to follow this magician's act. And there I was. I was introduced. And now here is Rico Lazo to present to you from his organization about how you can become a volunteer in the school. I made my way on stage and I was so nervous. I remember looking down and thinking, can the audience members see my shirt beating through my chest? That's how nervous I was. I was unprepared. I was just not ready at all. I fumbled my way through the presentation, and I thought when I finished that I was finally going to be able to exit the stage. But just at that moment, a parent shouted out, "Díganos en español." Tell us in Spanish. So not only was I not done with my presentation, I had to redo the entire presentation in Spanish. So if I didn't do well in English, you can imagine how badly I did in Spanish. Luckily, I was able to finally finish and make my way off stage. And as I was exiting the stage, I could see the principal lean over to the assistant principal and whisper, "He must be new." And those words stung, not because they were hurtful, but because it was true. I was a rookie in presenting. I was not ready for that type of event or that large of an audience. So all that to say, from humble beginnings of being an extreme introvert to now being able to coach people in becoming more capable and confident communicators. And I wanted to share that story just so that you know more about me, that communication is a skill that can be gained and improved like any number of skills. And so the question, why is communication so important, has to be asked. And the reality is that it is the single most important tool you can have as a working professional, especially in today's competitive job market. And with the advent of AI, it is more important than ever. When OpenAI introduced ChatGPT in November of 2022, it was hailed a revolution, this revelatory tool that would allow us to become more productive and to be able to do things at lightning quick speed. But that initial joy quickly soured and turned to these doomsday sayers, the Chicken Littles saying the sky is falling, that this ChatGPT and AI is going to bring the end to humanity, eliminate jobs, bring about the worst possible outcomes. And from now, what I would say is this: AI is not going to take your job. Somebody who knows how to use AI is going to take your job. But I firmly believe that the one skill that AI, chatbots, and other tools are not going to be able to replace is people who have effective communication skills. And that's why we're here today. And I'm also going to show you some tools using AI to help you become a better communicator. But just know that AI is not going to take your job if you learn to embrace it and grow, but ultimately become the best communicator that you can be. One of the important things to remember is that good communication is the foundation and bedrock to any great relationship, whether that's professional or personal. So whether you want to be able to land a job in an interview, speak to your boss with confidence, give a presentation, a prepared speech, or make small talk, being able to communicate effectively is not only important, it's vital. And again, these skills can be learned and improved upon. And when you become a competent communicator, you will realize that competence is what gives you confidence. And when your confidence increases, the success you'll have not only as a communicator in your work life, but you'll also see success in other areas of your life as well. So then the question becomes, how do you become a better communicator? Well, in short, there are no shortcuts. There is no easy way apart from putting in the work. You need to put in the practice reps if you want to be able to become an effective communicator. And I think this quote by Vince Lombardi really illustrates this point very beautifully and eloquently. The idea is you cannot be successful if you're not putting in the work. The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary, and that's just due to alphabetical order. So again, you need to put in the work to become an effective communicator. But that's what we're going to talk about today. What is the work that you need to do? By doing these steps, I can promise you, you will become a better communicator. And before we get into some steps, I do want to highlight a couple of my clients just to give you an idea of who I work with and how they've grown as communicators working with me. The first is an IT recruitment manager, and the second is a real estate entrepreneur. Let's meet Maria first. Maria is an IT recruitment manager from Latin America, currently living in the United States, and she's married to her husband, who's also from Latin America. So she speaks in Spanish all day because she's working remotely for a company in LATAM. And at home, in the evenings and weekends, when she's not working, she's speaking Spanish to her husband. So as you can imagine, she's not getting a lot of practice in English. And this is limiting her opportunities to feel confident and ultimately get a job in the United States. So when she started working with me, we started to really unpack her fears and doubts about becoming more confident as an English speaker. She was so unconfident, in fact, that she would go everywhere with her husband to be able to have her needs met, whether that was going to get a haircut, get a manicure, or even going to the grocery store. So in working with me, we're now getting her ready to apply for a job doing the same work, but in English. By landing a job and doing this work in English, she will be able to quadruple her income. Yes, that's right. Increase her income by 4 times by becoming a confident communicator in English. Next, let's meet Joe. Joe is a real estate entrepreneur from Mexico living in the Midwest. He came to me because he wants to be able to find investors that will allow him to grow his business. He is a real estate developer buying homes and flipping them, as well as a home construction owner, company owner, who will help renovate homes or who renovates homes for customers. His difficulty was that he found it very difficult to get into conversations with prospective clients. He's also an introvert and just didn't know how to ask questions. He was comfortable answering questions, but he had a very difficult time asking questions. So in working with him, I taught him the art of small talk, which we'll get into here momentarily. But he learned how to ask questions and how to determine if the people he was speaking to were actually potential clients or not. And as a result, he was able to gain the confidence to be able to engage in conversations with people and ultimately make a decision whether he should pitch them the idea of investing in his business or not, just through making better small talk. Okay, so the moment has arrived. What are the steps to becoming a more effective and confident communicator? Well, the formula is very simple. If you look at this formula here, awareness plus action equals results. I'm going to say that again. Awareness plus action equals results. And what this means is understanding where you are, discovering what problems or challenges you have, working to confront and overcome those challenges will equal results. So it's simple in nature, but it's not easy to accomplish unless you're willing to put in the work. And this is why I love this quote. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. If you want to become a better communicator, you need to put in the work. You need to do this on a consistent basis. And by doing so, you will become a better communicator. But that sounds very abstract, right? Do the work, you become a better communicator. What does that actually mean? Well, let's take a look. First of all, when talking about awareness, this is literally becoming aware, having the consciousness of where you are. And here I want to share with you the 4 stages of competence. In this pyramid, you can see at the base, you have unconscious incompetence. This is literally being ignorant, not even being aware, having no awareness. So this means you're not even aware that you're not a good communicator. You're not even thinking about your communication skills. But today, by just bringing awareness to where you are with your communication skills, you are already taking that next step and moving up to becoming conscious that you are incompetent as a communicator, meaning I am not where I want to be. Nothing wrong with that, but you need to be honest with yourself and say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm willing to put in the work. By putting in the work, you will become a capable and competent communicator. This is where you become conscious about your competence because you're thinking about the things that you need to do, whether it's making better eye contact or vocal variety or whatever challenges you're faced with. You are aware of it, you're working on it, and you now realize that you have the skills, but it's going to take work for you to get there. And you need to continuously improve, right? The biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. But through practice, you can become a master communicator, at which point you reach the summit or the peak of this pyramid, which means that you no longer have to think about what you need to do to be an effective or master communicator. So again, it starts with awareness. You need to know where you currently are. But even then, what does that mean? How do you know where you are as a communicator? Well, let's take a look. So you need to, as you can see here, is you need to determine your current ability level. How do you know how well you speak or communicate? Well, the first thing you want to do is just think about what challenges do you face? Are you afraid to speak up, like I was back in second grade, unwilling to raise my hand to participate in the meeting, unwilling to give a presentation, unwilling to go to a networking event for fear of not knowing what to do? Is it a lack of confidence? Are you just so unconfident that you're not willing to put yourself out there? Fear and a lack of confidence go hand in hand. So we want to understand that we can improve upon this, but we need to be aware of first, what are our challenges? It could also be something like not being able to be understood. I am an accent reduction coach, so I do help some of my clients improve their pronunciation to help them be better understood. But by and large, most people just need more practice. So being aware that you just need more practice is very empowering because anything you do over time repeatedly, you will get better at. And so just again, your awareness, we're going to go a little bit deeper here in just a moment. In just a moment, awareness is vital. You need to be honest with yourself where you are. Next, it's about understanding that improvement takes time. Remember, there is no fast track to success. You need to put in the work. That is vital. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And again, every day, taking steps towards becoming a better communicator is how you're going to get there. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are your communication skills. It's through daily practice. So the first part was awareness, right? Where am I? I like to call it the finger on the pulse. What is my heart rate? Where am I? Or checking the weather, right? Which way is the wind blowing? Where am I? But once you understand that you need to improve, we can start to take some action by preparing. And we're going to prepare so we can practice and improve. That's the other key. A lot of people, when they give presentations or speeches, are ineffective because they've spent too much time preparing and not actually practicing. It's one thing to write a speech out, prepare saying it, but if you're not actually practicing in front of somebody else, you're not going to do as well as you would if you practiced. Whether that's giving a speech or a presentation or even an interview, preparation and practice is how you're going to improve. And the consistency is what is key. By doing something daily, that is how you're going to make gains. If you just think about this, if you spend 5 minutes a day, every day, that's only 35 minutes. But this is going to build the habit of how you can become a better communicator. It is much better to practice 5 minutes a day every day than even 1 hour or more once a week. I promise you, it's all about consistency. Which brings me to the rule of 100. This is a very powerful rule that will help you understand that by practicing daily, you will become amongst one of the best at whatever skill you practice. But the rule of 100 states this: if you take 100 hours and divide it by 365, it's 17 minutes a day, approximately. By spending 17 minutes a day honing a skill, like your communication skills, you will be amongst the top 5% of people in the world doing that. You will become proficient. They say it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, but even dedicating 100 hours at any given skill will allow you to become proficient. And that's 100 hours in 1 year. Imagine doing this year over year. And as you become more capable and competent, you become more confident and your skills truly begin to bloom. So the rule of 100 again is just this notion: spending 70 minutes a day, every day for a year, you will reach 100 hours. Just think about your own life. What do you spend 100 hours doing during the course of your year? What skills are you building? It only takes 17 minutes a day to get to 100 hours. And by doing so, you'll be proficient and even amongst the top 5% of people worldwide in any skill. Okay, so let's get to some actual activities that you can do to really begin to get polished as a speaker, to become more polished as a speaker. The first key is recording yourself. And we all have this amazing device in our pockets, in our purses, in our bags, with us almost every waking moment. And that, of course, is a smartphone. So all you need to do is start to record yourself. And why do you want to record yourself? Because you need to see and understand, having that awareness, what are my challenges? Now, a tip is using the back camera. Why do you want to use the back camera? The back camera is key because that way you're not worried about your hair. Maybe you're having a bad hair day, something is stuck in your teeth, you don't like how you look. By using the back camera, you're going to be focusing in on one, building your eye contact, and two, not being distracted by how you look. You're going to focus strictly on speaking. What you're going to do as well is record yourself for 1 to 2 minutes responding to an impromptu question, a question you've not prepared for. By doing this, you will be able to get a baseline of where you are and the challenges you're faced with. And we're going to then talk about what you do with those challenges. But do this every day. 1 to 2 minutes, record yourself, and analyze yourself. If you do this 3 times a day, record yourself for 2 minutes, watch yourself for 2 minutes, analyzing yourself, repeat the answer that you gave for the question, but each time you do this, it becomes easier because you will have your thoughts more in alignment and be able to articulate your thoughts even better. And by doing this every day, that is how you're going to get better. Another suggestion I want to give, watch yourself with the volume off and on. Why on earth would you want to watch yourself with the volume off? The reason is you want to be able to pay attention to all of your non-verbal communication, your hand gestures, your facial expressions, your body language, overall just how you appear, your posture. Do you look sort of sheepish and meek, or are you standing tall and brave? I do also encourage you to stand up as you're practicing because that's going to give you a sense of authority and confidence. And then, of course, you're going to watch yourself with the volume on, paying attention to these ideas or these areas. You want to take note of your body language, right? Your eye contact, hand gestures, your voice, your tone, your vocal variety, how fast you're speaking. Are you speaking too fast? Are you speaking way too slow? Your filler words, your uhs, ums, you knows, etc. You want to write these things down. So when you're watching yourself, you're literally going to write these things down and then rank them in the order that you want to work them on. And you can give yourself a grade for each of these areas on a scale of 1 to 10. And then look at what is the lowest grade that you have. And you probably want to start with that first. So if it's your filler words, start by working on eliminating your filler words. If it's your sentence starters, you're starting every sentence with so or and, or you're ending sentences with right, always looking for that recognition from the listener. Or maybe your structure of what you're saying is not coherent, it's out of order, it doesn't make sense. Make note of all of these. And then the key here is choosing one area to work on. Focus on building one skill at a time. If it's eye contact, then just look at the camera so that you're focusing on your eye contact. Another tip is rather than just looking at the camera as a camera, think of yourself actually speaking to a friend. It makes all the difference in your tone and how you come across. But by doing this on a daily basis, this is how you are going to build your skills as a communicator, one day at a time, one question at a time. And I can assure you, you will see an incredible improvement in as little as a week by simply picking individual skills and working on them. And then each successive week, working on a different area that you need to focus on. And it's just up to you to determine which skills you want to work on. But simply by recording yourself and watching yourself, you can improve dramatically and very rapidly. And I encourage you, do this for a week, do it for a month, do it for a year. 17 minutes a day equals 100 hours, the power and the rule of 100. The next activity is something that you can do with others. And this is a great activity because I truly believe that, yes, it is important to practice at home, recording yourself and growing in that way, but get into conversation with people, with random people on the street, at work, wherever you are, practicing small talk. By practicing small talk, you will become a more capable and confident communicator. So what is the art of small talk? It's mastering the ability to engage in conversation with people in everyday conversations. And these are some suggestions I have for you to be able to be more effective when making small talk. Number one, just be present. Show genuine curiosity and interest in the person that you're speaking to. Don't be looking at your watch or your phone. Don't be looking past the person or behind them. Make eye contact, nod, acknowledge them. Just doing that shows that you actually care, and that's going to encourage a person to actually want to engage with you. That's the first step. 2, practice active listening. By being an active listener, this is going to allow you to pay attention to the details of what they're saying. It's not about just waiting until they finish talking and then you say something. You want to be listening actively, paying attention to the details, remembering these things, and asking follow-up questions. The whole idea of small talk is not about you, it's about the other person. And so by doing this, you are going to have much more engaging small talk conversations. And this is especially important. I mean, in everyday life, maybe you don't like talking to random people on the street. I totally get it. But when it comes to work, your colleagues, prospective clients, you're at a networking event, you're at a conference, small talk is essential. And the way that you can even pick this up to another level is ask open-ended questions. Don't ask questions that can be answered with a yes or no or single word response. So what does that mean? That means instead of saying, is this your first time here at the conference? More likely than not, you're going to get an answer, yes, it is, or no, it's not. Versus if you ask, what was interesting about this conference that made you want to come? Or why did you choose to come to this conference? Asking what or why questions automatically allow the other person to open up. That is something that makes a huge difference. And then again, you're paying attention, you're actively listening to what the person's saying. This is how you can begin to become a better participant and mastering the art of small talk. But let's continue on. As I mentioned, you want to ask open-ended questions. But rather than just asking about the weather or what somebody does, by asking about what somebody does, it's almost like a judgmental thing. What do they do? How much money do they earn? What kind of car do they drive? That's not what we're looking here. That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for a deeper connection with people. And so you want to ask thought-provoking questions. So if you do want to know what somebody does for a living, you can say something like, what interested you about your profession? Or what got you into your profession? You maybe don't want to lead with that, but that's a much more open-ended question that allows somebody to speak from the heart about what they do versus just trying to figure out their job title. Ask other questions. Something like, if you could travel in time to any period, what period would you want to travel to and why? If you could invite anybody to a dinner party, who would you invite? Why would you want to invite them? Those types of thought-provoking questions I guarantee you, will make you be remembered by the people you speak to. They're going to say that person asks some really interesting questions. And again, this is like hot potato. It's a give and take. You're following up. Whenever they respond to you, ask a follow-up question. Be the person leading the conversation versus just being a participant and being along for the ride. It takes two to tango. Be, sharing back and forth. The last thing I would add when it comes to making small talk is this idea of conversation threading. And what this does, this allows the other person to ask you questions in a way that's going to keep the conversation going. So if somebody says, where do you live? Which is not necessarily a very good open-ended question because it's just going to give a one-word response. When you respond, rather than me just saying Barranquilla, Colombia, I can say, I live in Barranquilla, Colombia, because I love living abroad. I love living near the beach, and I love hot weather. Do you see how much more that gives the respondent, the other person I'm speaking to respond with? They can connect on this notion of living abroad. Maybe they've never traveled before out of the country. Maybe they don't like hot weather. The idea, though, is I'm giving them opportunities to grasp onto different topics. So doing these things will help you master the art of small talk. And again, this may seem very basic, and it is. It's almost commonsensical, right? You just need to ask better questions. But by doing this and practicing this with your colleagues, with your friends, with other people, you will start to realize that making small talk is not difficult. Ask open-ended questions, ask thought-provoking questions, and by doing so, you will have a much more meaningful conversation and find a deeper connection. So again, the results that you're going to get from doing these practice activities, whether it's recording yourself with the back camera or engaging in small talk by preparing, and with small talk, preparing by learning some questions that you would want to ask, that you have them in your back pocket to pull out as you need. I mean, not physically, but in your mind. And practicing them, you're going to see improvement. Preparing for a presentation, not just in writing it and putting the slides together, but actually literally going through it. Record yourself and analyze yourself. Whatever you're doing, whether you're recording yourself for a 1 to 2 minute impromptu response, record yourself and analyze. By doing so, you will also improve as a communicator. And if you remember our pyramid of competence, the 4 stages of competence, by doing this, we're going to gradually go up each level and reaching that level of the unconscious competence. It's all about preparation and practice. And by building competence, that is how you build confidence. The reason people are confident in different areas of their life is because they're competent. They know they have the skills to do whatever is being asked of them in that given pursuit. And so if you are at work and you need to give presentations, it behooves you to practice repeatedly, build those skills. And I can assure you, you will improve if you're willing to put in the work. You need to work on a consistent basis to be able to do this. Also, you need to understand this idea that you need to get out of your comfort zone. If you're only going to be recording yourself at home and not engaging with people in real life, IRL, you're not going to make the same gains. Be willing to meet people online and in person, and by doing so, you will grow your communication skills and your ability to connect with individuals. And lastly, just remember that success as a communicator is definitely more of a journey than a destination. You can always improve. You can always grow your vocabulary, the way that you speak, just the analogies and metaphors you use. You can always improve as a storyteller. So don't think that you have to get to a certain point in a certain matter of time. It's a continual process of constantly growing and adding skills to your bag of communication. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we've learned more about some of the techniques that you can employ as a communicator to get better, I want to share some resources with you that are going to have a huge impact on you. So one, Toastmasters is a wonderful organization. Toastmasters.org. It's an international organization with clubs, they call them chapters, all over the world, in English and in other languages. And the reason that this is so important, just know that if English is not your first language, which is what I'm assuming for most people in attendance, that the skills you gain in English as a second language are going to transfer and be transferable to your native language. So that's key. But with Toastmasters, it's an opportunity to practice both impromptu speaking as well as prepared speeches. It's a very affordable organization. I think it's like $120 a year. So for $10 a month, you can practice in front of a live audience, either in person or online, to allow you to put your communication skills to the test. And it couldn't be with a more supportive audience. Everybody there is really into personal and professional development, and they all have the same goal, to become better communicators. So I can't recommend Toastmasters enough. I personally have been a part of 4 chapters, and I love Toastmasters. Great organization and very, very affordable. When it comes to AI, I'm going to share a couple of AI tools here in a minute, as well as one of the exams you can take if you're wondering, is my English good enough? Or what can I do to find out what skills I need to focus on in my English? And I will share links to some small talk questions that you can use to engage people in conversation with or practice for impromptu recording of yourself, as well as 100 deep questions to better understand yourself, understand what your fears and insecurities are. And again, by answering these questions while recording yourself, you don't need to share it with anybody. It can greatly help you become that much more effective as a communicator. So the first AI tool I want to highlight is Yoodli.ai, and I do not earn a commission by promoting them in any way. I just have found a lot of success in using this tool to become a better and more competent and confident communicator. You can practice impromptu questions, speeches, presentations, interviews, conversations, even word games to help you improve orally. You get feedback and insights from this AI tool. It records you, and I'm going to show you this in just a minute. And in fact, let's go ahead and go to Yoodli. So this is Yoodli.com. It is not a free tool. It was for a long time, but they've since upped the pricing. It's now, I believe, $8 a month if you pay for the annual package, $96. I think it's $12 a month if you pay monthly. But when you come to practice, you can practice interviews, presentations, have a conversation, or even upload a recording of yourself, and it will give you insights. The great news about the conversation piece is it now actually has a voice. You can speak with Yoodli as though it were a person. I'm going to demonstrate this for you live. So I have a question or topic that I've already put in here. How can how ChatGPT can be used as a conversation partner for people learning English? And then you can choose who your conversation partner is. Is it a student? Is it a teacher? Right? This can be any kind of conversation that you want to have, and you can even choose the personality, the personality that you want to practice with. And I'm going to show this to you live. I'm going to start the conversation.
Hey there, learning English can be tricky, huh? I've heard that using ChatGPT might be a cool way to practice. Do you think it could really help with improving my speaking skills?
It can absolutely help you improve your speaking skills. With ChatGPT, you can engage in role plays in which you can learn how to respond to questions more effectively. You can ask for feedback on your pronunciation, any mistakes in grammar, or any other errors that you have. It's very incredible, and I would highly encourage anybody who is learning English or who is not a native speaker of English to use ChatGPT as a conversation partner. You're really only limited by your imagination. And I think it's truly important to embrace AI tools. And why not learn how to use ChatGPT better and at the same time improve your communication skills? Super, super helpful.
Absolutely. ChatGPT can be an amazing conversation partner for English learners. It allows you to practice various conversation scenarios, receive feedback on your pronunciation, grammar, and language usage, and even learn how to respond effectively to different types of questions. It's a great way to enhance your communication skills while embracing AI tools. How do you think ChatGPT can specifically help you in your English learning journey?
It can be your personal tutor. So if you're having difficulties with grammar, a big question I get is phrasal verbs. I need to improve my phrasal verbs. Then you can engage in a conversation with ChatGPT, asking it to have you ask and answer questions with phrasal verbs. And again, it can provide you with the correct answers if you're making mistakes.
That's a great idea. ChatGPT can definitely act as a personal tutor and help you practice specific areas like phrasal verbs. You can engage in conversations with ChatGPT where you ask and answer questions using phrasal verbs, and it can provide correct answers and corrections if you make any mistakes. It's a fantastic tool to strengthen your grasp on phrasal verbs and improve your overall grammar skills. Is there any specific topic or aspect?
Okay, so this happens, of course, with live events. What I can do is I can go back to my library and show you I had a previous conversation. Let's see here. This was last night. It's in preparation. And what it does is it will give you the recording so you can rewatch yourself with the transcript. It doesn't transcribe the AI voice, but it does. I mean, it provides a transcript, but it doesn't provide the recording. You can review the conversation. Here to the right, you see coaching. So it tells you what the audience took away from the conversation. It even has follow-up questions. Again, speaking about that notion of follow-up questions that you can then practice. It even gives you ways that you could have better summarized or you could have better articulated whatever thought you had. So these are just some of the coaching tips that it gives. In addition, it gives you some analytics, and this is all AI generated, and this is completely private. Nobody's going to see this, not even Yoodli, unless you share it with somebody. So you can share it with a friend, a coach, a colleague to get feedback. So it gives you insights onto word choice, repetition. If you say something twice or more, it'll show you filler words, the ums, ahs, you knows, weak words, these words that don't really add any value to what you're saying, just, very, really, so, sort of, etc. Your conciseness, how concise and succinct are you with what you say? I like to use the phrase economy of language. Saying less with fewer words is always something to strive for. And then sentence starters. What are you starting your sentences with? And this is something that I can work on here in this particular conversation. It's not just about me, I, but being aware of that helps you again. That awareness then drives you towards the action to make those improvements. It tells you about your delivery. How fast or slowly are you speaking? I tend to speak fast, so I need to work on slowing down. It also tells me how frequently I'm pausing. And it says you want to pause for about a second between each point. So make sure you're pausing. It even tells you if you're smiling enough in your conversation, eye contact. I wasn't looking at the camera because I was looking at the prompt, but the idea is by focusing on looking at the camera, you'll become more capable of maintaining eye contact in a conversation. So all these things are available to you through Yoodli. And again, $100 a year. I think it's well worth the investment. I highly recommend it. You can practice all sorts of conversations, and they even have games here. You can practice a no filler word game, storytelling game. So it's really, really an incredible resource. Just a couple more resources we'll go through. As I mentioned, ChatGPT released the ability to actually speak to ChatGPT through your mobile phone. So this is only currently available in your mobile phone. I do have ChatGPT 4, but this is actually available in 3.5 as well. When I recorded this, I didn't realize I was in ChatGPT 4, the plus version, which is $20 a month, but you don't even need that for this type of activity. What you're going to do though is hit the headphones to engage ChatGPT's voice. I'm going to play this for you so you can get a sense of what it's like. So what I do is I type in this prompt. I want to practice ordering a coffee. Don't start until I say go. And the reason for that is if you're not ready to start having a conversation, it gets it ready and then you say go for you to be able to engage in the conversation. And you can literally practice an interview, a presentation, or learn something through speaking and listening to ChatGPT. So it's saying, just say go and we'll begin. Go.
Great. Welcome to the cafe. What can I get for you today?
I'd like to order a dirty chai latte, please.
A dirty chai latte coming right up. Would you like it hot or iced, and what size would you prefer?
I'd like it hot. Thanks for asking. What kind of milk do you offer?
We have a variety of milk options. There's whole milk, skim milk, soy milk, almond milk, and oat milk. Which one would you like in your hot, dirty chai latte?
I'd like oat milk, and can I get that with a second shot of espresso, please?
Absolutely, a hot, dirty chai latte with oat milk and an extra shot of espresso. Anything else I can get for you today?
Do you guys have almond croissants?
Yes, we do have almond croissants. They're quite popular here. Would you like one with your coffee?
Are they baked on site?
Yes, our almond croissants are baked fresh on site every morning. They're really delicious. Would you like to add one to your order?
That'd be great.
Perfect. One hot, dirty chai latte with oat milk and an extra shot of espresso, plus a fresh almond croissant. Will that be all for you today?
Is the almond croissant toasted?
We usually serve them as they are, but we can certainly toast it for you if you'd like. Would you prefer it toasted?
I would. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So to confirm, that's a toasted almond croissant and a hot, dirty chai latte with oat milk and an extra shot of espresso. Your order will be ready shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's gonna do it. How much will that be?
For the hot, dirty chai latte with oat milk and an extra shot of espresso and the toasted almond croissant, your total comes to $8.50. Will you be paying with cash or card today?
I'll pay with cash. Thank you. Okay, so that was just an opportunity for you to see how ChatGPT can be engaged as though it were a conversation partner. Again, I want to encourage anybody who is concerned about their communication skills, practice as much as you can. Use AI tools if you need to. I think it's a great practice, but also get out into the real world and practice with people. But I think you can see the applications are really limitless. I put on captions just to help with the readability. You wouldn't see the captions as you're speaking with it, but it does provide a transcript to you, which I forgot to include in this video. So afterwards, you can review the words that were used so that you can then study those words if you're not familiar with any of the vocabulary that ChatGPT is using. So a very powerful tool. This one's free. Yoodli is about $12 a month on the monthly plan and $8 a month on the annual plan. The last resource I want to share with you today is this Speech Ace. This is a free speaking test that allows you to answer questions based on different topics. You answer 3 questions. It takes about 10 minutes. You can answer questions on things like jobs, college admission, screening, sports, any number of topics. Once you do so, you're going to get a report on how you did. This is just a sample report, and it gives you a score on each of these different English exams. So Speech Ace is their own proprietary score. The CEFR, the Common European Framework for Languages, so A, B, C, A1, B, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, B2 would be upper intermediate, IELTS, Pearson, TOEFL, and TOEIC. And it gives you a score on each of these key areas: your pronunciation, your fluency, your vocabulary, and grammar. And then on top of it, what it also allows you to do is to actually get a recording of your responses and feedback about how many words per minute you spoke, any pauses, and any issues that you face. So you can see your pronunciation, your fluency, things of that nature. And again, this is free, serves as a great baseline tool. But again, these are the tools that I would encourage you to do. Toastmasters, let me come back to my presentation. Toastmasters, using Yoodli, using ChatGPT. There are many other free English exams. I'll share with you the small talk questions or the deep questions if you so choose. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this presentation today. And I would love to now open it up to any questions. I don't know if there are any questions. I know this has been intended to be a LinkedIn live event. I'll be sharing this online on my LinkedIn so people understand that they didn't make a live event due to operator error. Remember that communication is a journey, like many things in life. Nobody is born as a master communicator. People who become effective communicators are doing this because they're practicing. Yes, extroverted people might have an advantage because they speak more or are more likely to speak in large groups. But even as an introvert, you can improve your speaking ability simply by just practicing every single day in the focused way, building skills one at a time. But again, my name is Rico Lazo. I'm a communication and growth mindset coach. I would love to connect with you if anything I've said has really resonated with you. you're looking for more information, you can also find me at ricolazocoaching.com. I would love to engage with you, but thank you for attending this event, or thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment below once this is live on LinkedIn on my profile page, but thank you so much.